Good morning, book lovers of the internet. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. I am Book Nerd 802, and in this video, I am going to be reviewing this book called The Perfect Son by Freida McFadden. This is the third book I am reading by this author. I read The Teacher a while back. I recently finished reading The Crash as well, and now I finished reading this one within a matter of 2 days. I bought this one because I consider myself to be quite a perfect son, so I thought I would find it to be rather relatable, and in certain ways, it actually was. Now, this one has 310 pages, and I rated it at 3 out of 5 stars. So, yeah, the third book I'm reading by Freida McFadden, and to be totally honest, her stories are starting to all bleed together in my mind. And I'm not using bleed here because they're thrillers, because there is a lot of blood and murder involved. And there is also a distinction I'd like to make, just in case you do not know already. Horror has to do with the physical, horrible things which happen. Thrillers have to do with the psychological, the things that happen that reside within the mind, the manipulation of others. So that is the main distinction. But yeah, there are certainly themes in and approaches to McFadden's writing which make it simple to distinguish that it's her writing the thought-provoking concepts. Now she does have a way of layering her stories, of developing her characters, but this one kind of seemed to fall flat in my case. There wasn't really that cool of a premise, and it all started to go about in circles very, very quickly. Even though we were told a story from the perspectives of many characters, instead of parts, we had chapters which had to do with police reports and interviews, which was also interesting. But yeah, this one rather fell flat to me, especially when compared to The Crash, for instance, which is to this day my favorite McFadden book. And I was also told to read Never Lie, um, which I will probably give a go sometime in the future. So she has a way of giving context by splitting her books into days or months and telling us what happened before and after, but not in a Breaking Bad sort of way where she creates much suspense and then ties it all together towards the end, but rather to set the scene and also to sprinkle a bit of suspense in there. But we don't really know the characters just yet, so the suspense also falls flat. I mean, we do want to know what is about to happen, but at the same time, we don't really have a reason for caring, apart from the fact that we bought the books, which are rather expensive. So she has a way of tying things together by telling us the story from the points of view of multiple characters, as I mentioned. And I was surprised to see that the perfect son did not have the opportunity to tell us his intentions in this one, and we were set up to root against him from the very beginning. I found that to be quite strange because I really thought that the perfect son would have his own um, chapters rather than the story all being told, well, mostly being told from his mother's perspective. So, yeah, McFadden has a way of keeping us suspenseful and doubtful about the malintent of her characters, not only until the very end, but also to the point where her stories tend to have an open ending. So, just to give an example here, the reader can't fully tell whether the characters are safe or not after all the trauma she forces them to endure. In fact, even after finishing The Perfect Son, we do not yet know whether Liam has good intentions or bad ones, even though on a surface level he seems to be quite a normal child, despite some horrible things he did anyway. Some things which Dahmer did as well, Jeffrey Dahmer. So yeah, the broken ankle, which prevents one from moving about freely, has officially started to get on my nerves. She seems to use this trope in every single one of her books, where one of the characters who's in danger has a broken ankle, and the character can't save themselves basically because they can't move entirely, and they are at the complete mercy of their of the guy who is holding them captive. So there will be many spoilers ahead from this point on, so beware if you haven't read this one already. So yeah, this one, as I mentioned slightly a few minutes ago, yeah, it was definitely not as interesting as The Crash or even The Teacher, but the plot twist was still quite unexpected. Towards the end, we find out that it was the father who who was behind all of this, who was behind Olivia's disappearance to begin with, and not Liam. It was Jason from the very beginning. And in more ways than one, I was reminded of Dexter, only in my eyes, Dexter is a good guy because he goes after bad people. Jason doesn't really care as long as he satisfies his dark passenger. So Jason definitely, yeah, isn't a good guy, and what happened to him towards the end was more than deserved, and it was pretty, I wouldn't say funny, but pretty satisfying to see Liam kill his father, even though um, at that point in time, he was still um, guilty of kidnapping and killing Olivia, even though none of that actually happened. So it's a shame that he was a family man for 20 years and never once cared for any of the members residing within his home. And Olivia definitely deserved better. And the whole starving someone to death ideology is messed up in many, many ways. It's completely disgusting and off putting, ironically. Um, because I mean, wanting to torture someone to death and starve them is completely mortifying. Um, I understand. Well, not I understand, but I can see why a person would go to a length where they would kill another. But torture just doesn't make sense, especially when it's an innocent person. So I yeah, I mean, yeah, it's messed up. Let me know what you think of this in the comment section. I hope you agree with me. It's not some sort of mind-blowing thing to relate to. So I also found the fact that there were two Olivias to be rather compelling, since that only added to my suspicions that Liam was behind it all, as I was meant to believe throughout. Um, and yeah, I mean, Liam's mother, considering how much she loves him and how much she tells us that he's her favorite, she is always so worried about the things he is going to do to other people. Doesn't, she's not worried about Liam himself. She is worried about protecting others from Liam, not protecting Liam from others. And yeah, I mean, I genuinely thought that Liam would go to jail and would not tell the guards or the police where Olivia was hidden unless they let him leave without any consequences, but that was not the case. I honestly thought that I cracked the case, that I could call this book to be I could refer to this book as very predictable, but it wasn't, because the twist towards the end definitely proved otherwise. Yeah, but as I mentioned, I still wasn't particularly mind blown, but still had a blast reading this. It was still pretty interesting, and I couldn't really turn the pages fast enough. I wanted to get to the end. Also to contribute towards my Goodreads goal, to be fair. So yeah, may Liam and Olivia find all the joy they deserve, although Erica kind of pisses me off, since she doesn't trust her son much, and her own father is a murderer, although certainly not as horrible as Jason based on how he explained his tale from 40 years prior. Erica was led to believe by her mother that her father had died, but he was actually in jail all the time for killing a person. um, to be fair, this person told him that she was pregnant, and he gave her medication without her knowledge, that he thought would kill the child, but she wasn't actually pregnant, and she ended up dying of an overdose herself instead, which of course made him a murderer. I suppose in some way or other that can be justified. Um, but yeah, she was worried that this was genetic, and that um, was another reason for her to be concerned about Liam and his psychopathic tendencies. But I suppose that ultimately the Dark Passenger resides within many psychopaths, and uh, Liam's Liam's father is certainly no exception. He went under the radar for many, many years. Then he was killed, and yeah, the police started making the connections and discovered how many people he was guilty of killing. He was basically a serial killer. But yeah, Liam was never at fault, despite some weird things he did do when he was way younger. So yeah, that is all I had to say about The Perfect Son by Freida McFadden. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, share, subscribe. Take a look at the rest of my content because why not? It's absolutely amazing. And I'll see you in the next one, hopefully very, very soon. Bye, guys.